We're in shade at the moment, obviously, but I thought I'd make a little bit of Metwurst snacky time. I'm getting a bit hungry. It's actually a little toasty maker sitting there. You can hear crisping away. Oh, yummo. Oh, yeah. Hey guys, Matty Extreme Auto Caravan and Camping with you again for another big rundown on a huge off-grid setup, giving these guys the ability to run their air conditioning, induction cooker, microwave, toaster, kettle, air fryer, the full works, hairdryer, all completely from batteries. This setup will allow you to do it anywhere on the side of the road, anytime. Be limited to water only with a setup like this, guys. No more caravan parks. Go to your free camps. Don't worry about plugging into a powered site. Go to a station stay and just free camp. Pretty much this system allows you to do that, limited to water. So this one here is on a Kakadu Kindred Spirit. Beautiful van. We've got the triple bunk beds at the rear. We've got the ensuite here. We've got the big lounge suite here, the Chase Lounge. We've got the queen bed up front here. And it's pretty much brand spanking new van here, and it's really good to be able to do these setups on a new van because they're already sort of pre-set up in a certain way that allows the integration of a system like this to pretty much seamlessly be integrated into the vans, existing infrastructure without sort of drilling holes everywhere and making it ugly. It's pretty much a factory overlay system. So this van came originally with a couple of 100 amp hours of lead acid batteries. And just the original, it wasn't a BM Pro or any projector power management system on this one. It was actually bare bones, pretty simple. Your mains charger, it's got a solar controller up there, all sort of separate stuff. Low voltage disconnect, which is controlled by a master switch by the door. So the 12 volt system on this, your lights, your pump, your fans, your radio, TV, all of your 12 volt stuff remains running as it does and always has. Nothing changes. The difference is now with the inverter on the system is all of your factory outlets, including the one outside where your table is, and in your cooking area, next to your beds for charging phones, for laptops, is now able to run from the inverter. There's no sort of separate outlets fitted. It's all a factory seamless integration. And when these guys do go to a powered site, they simply plug their power in, and this system senses it and automatically goes to that power source, or a generator. If they plug a generator in, it'll automatically go to that power source and charge these batteries at warp speed. Once the batteries are full, it'll back off and continue to run the van just like normal. So the specifications on this, stick around guys, because we were surprised at the amount of solar we could get on this, because the original quote was somewhat low, and the obvious idea is when I get on site, me and Riley get on site, we size up the system based on the day, because we can compress panels on the roof of any Caravan beyond what you think you can do, because we've got a whole bunch of different sized panels in our bag, in our toolkit, so to speak, and we're able to do that when we can mix up panels. Not on the same controller, obviously separate controllers. So let's get into the specs. There's a lot going on down here, and although it looks quite simple, there's a lot going on. So to start with, we'll get into the battery capacity. So these are the PowerPaul Scouts, and they are tested at well over 300 amp hours at the moment. They're actually 317 amp hours each. So there's 630 something, 34 amp hours into this system. So that's well over just on 8 kilowatt hours of usable storage from 0 to 100%. You can do that with these batteries. The BMS is very smart. It knows what's going on. It'll high voltage protect, low voltage protect, over current, under current. It's got all of it. Balancing of the cells. They've got active balancers in it to keep the top balancing perfect on each individual cell, which is in the batteries. And they are tied in at parallel here. Very thick cabling. Got the 95mm cabling running on this whole system. We run the LMI bus system down here. So there's like nine fuses down here. So that's the LMI bus bar system. We run a 50mm cable to that spread. So there's a lot of current to be able to be drawn in and out of the system on that bus. Now, DC charging on this, so for vehicle charging, we've done the Orion 30 amp DC charger here, as you can see, for vehicle charging. So when the old mate plugs in the Anderson plug in his drawbar, 30 amps will come flying down that line from the vehicle. It's a separate DC charger, guys. Solar on this one. So there are two Victron 50 amp smart solar controllers right here. There are, first of all, this came with two 150s or two 170s down this side in a pretty average spot. They were slapped kind of right in the middle. We worked out that we could fit about 1200 watts by removing these and putting some more down the back and along the side here. However, his factory Antenna Tech terrestrial antenna was in the front right hand corner along with his radio antenna. Now, old mate said, delete it. I don't watch TV. I don't watch terrestrial TV. I'm going to be either Starlink or something like that to watch stuff, or a little hard drive or something. He's not interested in terrestrial TV because he is going bush, away from any towers. So it made more sense to him to delete that, and we've done that. When we deleted that, it opened up the ability to now put another panel in that location. And the size of that panel in that location, as with all of the panels on the roof of this, we've managed to squeeze 6 225 watt exotronic panels, guys. So what's that? 1350 watts, if the maths works out. 1350 watts on this Kindred Spirit. Huge. Massive amount of solar. So 3 of them along the left-hand side here are a dead straight line. There are no shading issues whatsoever. So all 3 of these are tied into this one solar controller here, so the left-hand side, and the other 3 are tied into this one. We couldn't get all 3 along that side because of the shower ensuite hatch, so we've dog-legged it at the rear above the bunk beds. So 2 along this side, 1 at the back, there's that right-hand side solar, and 3 here. 1350 watts of potential solar able to be punched into this system on top of the DC charger while driving. Huge power, absolutely nuts. So if these will cap out about 700 odd watts, these 50 amp solar controllers. That's the maximum sort of output at their rating. So if you're able to pump out, say, 45 to 50 amps, we'll call it 45 to be lenient with it, 45, there's 90 and another 30 coming from the vehicle. 120 to get over 100 amps of replenishment power while free camping and while driving is very desirable. And most of you guys that are in the know about charge rates, especially with 12 volt systems, you know, anything 50, 60, 70 is like where it's at. You need to be able to punch that energy into the batteries. Well, these guys are going to get that alone just from the solar and more. With the DC charger on top of that, this will be punching at 120. That's crazy. So even if these guys woke up and sucked, I don't know, 50% out of the battery, so that would be, they've removed 300 amp hours. In 2 and a little bit hours with sun coming in, so if they drove between 10 and 1, they've replaced all of that energy. That's a lot of energy to replace. In other words, the amount of energy that's here from free camping, from vehicle and solar, is the same amount of energy that this Multi Plus 2 is able to punch in when on mains at its maximum. So the Multi Plus 2 is on this. It's a 12 volt, 3000 VA, 120 amp inverter charger. So when these guys plug into the grid, this will pump in 120 amps into the battery. Now, if they're in sun, if they got a generator running and they're in full sun, the solar will come in to help out with it. That's how the system works. It will not shut one off. It will combine their charge to bring the batteries up to a full state of charge really quick. Basically, lithium can be fast charged, and that's why we do it. We control all of the parameters, and it's fully programmed once we commission the system, and the results are just here. It just works, and that's why we use the Victron stuff. We use the hairdryer, the Red, the brand name stuff. We have control over their parameters to a certain degree, and we can tweak the system based on cable length, based on the size of the system. There's so many variables from job to job. That's why we build all of the stuff on site. We don't pre-build a board unless we know the full story. We find it much better when we can approach the job like this, because I know the distance from the DC charger to the drawbar is going to be 5 meters, 10, 12, 3 meters. I know the distance from the solar controllers between them and the panels. I know the cable length. So I can adjust parameters to suit the system as it goes. I ask the customer many questions. What generator do you carry? What size? Do you do station stays? Do you mainly do caravan parks? And I show the customers what they can do on the touchscreen to allow them to pretty much control all of the parameters of what is going in and out of these batteries, because that's where it's at. The rules are simple. You can never have too much solar. That's the fact. Your charge controllers will charge your batteries and back off when they're full. If you feed it enough energy, it just means you're going to charge quicker. That's rule number 1. Rule number 2, your vehicle is only as good as the alternator. All right, so don't think you can put all these DC chargers in and suck all the energy out of your alternator. You might be overloading it and there might not be anything left for your starter battery. That's another rule. You've got to work within the realms of your alternator to not overload it. And plus, if you've got all this solar coming in, it's not required to go too big on the DC charger if you don't need it. That's the other rule. The other rule is mainly, it's not infinite. Don't forget that. It doesn't matter how much solar you've got. You towed 10 caravans behind you. It'd be all wobbly, but if you towed 10 caravans behind you with all solar on it, the system is only as good as the sun is doing in the weather. You might park in shade. You might be using too much energy. It's all about storage and charge and consumption. All right, power comes in, 3 parameters. Power comes in, power gets stored, power gets used. As long as you understand how those 3 work in a cycle, then you're okay. You don't really need to worry about power. I always tell people at 12 volt, you don't really need to look at the battery monitor, really. There's that much energy beyond what this van ever came with. So at 12 volt, that's with the inverter off, you don't really need to look at your battery monitor. There's a lot of energy here unless you park in a shed. So when you're camping, you don't need to worry about that. When you put the inverter on, and you're going to run the hairdryer or the air conditioner or something like that, then you just need to take note of where you are, especially the air conditioner. If you're running this for, say, 5 hours during the night, well, obviously when you don't have any energy coming in, the power has to come from somewhere to replenish that. So if you ran this is a Gree air conditioner, they're not too bad. Say it pulls about 700 watts an hour as an average, let's just say. So in 2 hours, that's 1.4, 3 hours, 2.1, 4 hours, 2.8. So from this 8 kilowatt hour battery, we'll talk in kilowatt hours to make it easy for a minute. From this 8 kilowatt hour battery, you would have removed 2.8 kilowatt hours. So whatever that works out in percentage will be shown up on the screen. So if you go to bed at 100%, you've taken out that sort of power. It's roughly a third, just a little bit over. So it's probably going to show 65%. And then you would go to the screen and look at the consumed amp hours. And what you can do from that is you can make quick decisions moving forward. So if you knew that it's going to be a really hot day and your plan was to stay in the van, obviously if the sun's coming up, you know it's going to be a sunny day, you're going to replenish that quite quick. So you can work with it. And to keep energy efficiency up, you would run the air conditioner nice and early in the morning. So 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, put the air conditioner on, keep your van nice and cool during those sunlight hours, and you'll find you'll use a lot less energy that way. If you put the air conditioner on at 1 o'clock and try and cool your van down, it uses up so much energy, more than it would have if you ran it for those couple of hours before. So the idea is just conserve your energy in formats of not just running the device, but also, a hot van is using up a lot of energy to cool. So good little key point there, guys. Open up your windows, evacuate all that hot air, put the air conditioner on, and you'll notice it cuts out pretty quick. It reaches temperature near quite quick. And that's the other thing too. You'll find every air conditioner is different, every Caravan is different, every situation is different. You might find your air conditioner will run flat out for 15 minutes once the van's at temperature and then cut out. And the temperature set point is very crucial too. You might find it runs flat out when it's on 19, but when you drop it back to say 21, it doesn't go flat out, it uses less energy. It might be better at 22, and you might find that comfortable. We're talking minuscule numbers here, guys. So manage your energy in the format of just trying the system out. If you run that on 16, the coldest it can go, of course it's going to use more energy, because to drag this Caravan's temperature down to 16 degrees when it's 45 plus would be a fair effort, a fair call for any air conditioner. So it's a compromise with energy efficiency. So good little tip for you on that one, guys. There's nothing really too much else to tell you about down here. We've got the Smartshunt here. We've got the Touch 50 on this with the cerboGX. Like I said, we've got all the LMI fuses. Got the Busman master fuse for the inverter over there, really close to the battery. Everything's nice and neat. It's got a label and everything. We've got venting over here, vents over there, 3 vents, 1 vent behind each controller, including the DC charger. So we vent the back of them, even though they've got a heat sink and it's not required. We like to go that extra step and put a vent on the back of each one if we can do it, if we feel the need, if the enclosure's too enclosed. So there we go. Just another note to add, guys, there's some standards that are coming in as of November. Very big grey area for a lot of people. Basically the lithium batteries must not be in the habitable area of the van, i.e. under the bed, somewhere where they can access. So moving forward, a setup like this, these batteries would have to be in an enclosure and vented with access externally. So, front boot, tunnel boots, rear kind of boots could do it. As of November this year, guys, you're going to see a few little differences come into the industry. So there might be a bit of a lag before people start buttoning onto it, but there will be some changes in our setups to allow that. So we're in like early August now, so it's not required. I don't 100% believe in it, and the reasons behind it are going to be varied from person to person you speak to. So the first one is lithium batteries, LiFePO4 specifically, water ingress and, environmental dust. I'm not 100% convinced that there are many batteries, if any at all, that are IP rated to our conditions in this country. So it's a very tricky one, that one. Let's just see where this space takes us. But if we're going to be doing it, it's going to be in a, area that, if it was in this area, this would get boxed off, sealed off, and then access externally. As simple as that. So that sort of enclosure would be, the batteries would be separate to all of this, so it'd be, separated off. But the problem is that would need to be vented with external access, which is obviously dust and condensation, which isn't ideal for pretty much any lithium battery. Contrary to what you'll read, it's not many are IP rated, especially the high discharge, high quality. So if the battery manufacturers start to do their batteries like that, that might help out, which I hope they do. But as an installer, we've got to keep these things in mind, because we want the system to run properly and safely. And temperature is another thing too. The lithium batteries are not good sort of sub 4 degrees. You shouldn't really charge them at that sort of, even though we got sort of settings that will stop that, it's still not good to kind of keep them at that. They like to be sort of kept, well above that. Room temperature is even better. And safety too, and, money. So what's going on down here is, there's the cerboGX. and the touch 50s on that. And you can see all the V direct cables there and the V bus, which is for the inverter. There's the Orion DC charger. There's the solar left hand, so the 50 amp solar controller, so 675 watts going into that one. There's the solar right hand, so there's another 675 watts going into that. So 3 of the 225s, 3 of the 225s. There's all the LMI bus fuses, as you can see. They've all got their appropriate labels on them. Nice and easy to work with if someone needs to pull a fuse. So we've got spare. This one's for a Gusto. If you're unfamiliar with the Gustos, that's these things. Check them out online. They're pretty good. They're basically a high pressure, high volume air blower to blow the dust off your feet and the sand off your feet before you get in your van. So that'll be kind of mounted in the wall somewhere so they can easily access it even here and run it. And we've got that fuse ready for them. So back down here. So we've got spare for that. Solar right hand, solar left hand DC charger. Master feed in. We've got main 12 volt 1 and 2. Front Anderson, because he's got a blackjack going on this, so we're able to give him another power feed to the front. That will double up as a solar input, so if he has a portable solar panel that he wants to plug in, he can do that as well. And brake safe and radio memory is on the other one. CerboGX and Smartshunt little barrel fuses are down there. All can be pulled out and easily accessible. And then right around over here, right next to the battery post, there's the inverter. Major fuse there. One, what have we got? Sorry, 95mm cable running here. You can see it's quite thick. This is monster cable here. So you can either run 250s on the multi 12 3000, so at 12 volts, so 250s, or the single 95. And we're talking like 1 meter of cable. It's not a massive amount. It's pretty short. There's going to be very minimal losses over this cable, that's for sure. Blue trunking on this, guys. We use the PVC trunking. Quite expensive stuff. I just think it looks really trick. It's blue. Why not? We got this. We got the black. We can run the grey if we want. We just kind of tied into. I'm a bit fussy. Me and Riley, we like to colour coordinate things now and make things a little bit tidy. This cable is orange welding cable. We just fleece tape wrap it. Each to their own. I don't like the look of orange. It is what it is. It's just how we do it. It has no effect on the system. Makes no difference completely, eh? So, cool, guys. Hope you like that one. Mate had a finger on this sort of design to a point, so we asked where we wanted to fit the touchscreen. And he had like a lower pop-up camper, so we put it here. Now this is, you can see that I'm standing up, so it's kind of like chin height. Really easy access by the door here. So he's able to see this if the door's open. And he didn't want it in a cupboard. We could have put it up here quite easily. Could have put it up in the cupboard, but no. Like I said to you guys, you've got to, that's closed. So you've got no idea what's going on with your battery. You'd have to log on through your phone or, always opening up a cupboard door, just to look at the battery. I mean, I can see that from here. And just look at it. Now that has a backlight on it, and the timer will turn that screen to all black. So you got 1 minute, 2 minute, 5 minute, whatever it is. And to wake it up, you just touch it. So if you want full control when you want to turn the inverter on and off, you just touch it to wake it up. Very simple. Very easy to use too. You've seen all my other videos. If you haven't, I encourage you to scroll through them. There are so many there for you to go through. Good examples of big off-grid, small off-grid setups. Pretty much the systems can be fitted on any model van. So I'll quickly explain what's going on. We're off-grid, obviously. We're in a storage yard here. So we've got AC loads at 20 watts now. So there'd be an inverter in standby. Something's charging over there. We're in a shed, so I've got no solar coming in. That there would be the grid. So if we're plugged into shore power, if we're plugged into the pole at Caravan Park or a station stay, that power is going to come up here. And then you'll see these lines start to move as you turn loads on and off. So if I put the air conditioner on, which we'll go and do now, I'll turn that on because the inverter's already on. So if I turn that on, 27 heat, right? And we'll go over here and listen to this thing kick in. I'm not sure if you heard it. So not an inverter style AC, it just clunked in, it'll clunk out. So that's its load. That's the air conditioning load now as we speak. You can see how the little dots there are flying up and over there. So that's where the energy's going. So we can see we're using about 60, 65, 66 amps from the battery, and that's going to run this air conditioner in heat on 27. You'll never do that. You should be running a diesel heater or a gas heater off grid. So, but he can do this. He can manage his time. He wants to run it for 2 hours, put the timer on. That's what's happening right now. You can see there's no solar. Very easy to read, isn't it? You can we're at 95% state of charge. Come back in an hour and that number would have changed. If it's using too much energy, you have to stop running that load. Very simple. If you want more info on the product, you touch the screen and you go to menu. And here we are. Battery, just click it and it will show you your consumed amp hours. So we've used, since we've been playing with this morning, we've used 28.6 amp hours from this 630 amp hour battery bank. It's very easy to read, very easy to see. Now, all of your alarms, everything's monitored on this. We've done 2 Ruby tags for old mate. So he's got a freezer here, and that's the freezer one. All right, it's got a little stand on them now, so that's in the freezer. And then obviously another one for the fridge down there. You see it, there we go. So he's able to monitor fridge temperature and freezer temperature on this. And the Ruby tags, you can add as many as you want. If he put a drawer fridge on this, he'll be able to monitor that as well. Now this is remotely monitored, guys. This is on the VRM portal for these guys. What that means is I can monitor this system anywhere in the world. I can adjust parameters. I can upload firmware. If there's a firmware update and something better comes out from Victron, I can adjust any settings anywhere, all on my smartphone. So it's really good to have that support as well, and that's part of the system. You can add, mppt gas level sensors now, which is really good. We're loving using these for the water tank too. So go through a couple of my other previous videos, and we're using these for the gas level sensors. They're super accurate, and they're Victron compatible. So hit up, so Solar for RVs are selling these. You can buy them online. Like I said, guys, I don't sell anything. I just, love fitness stuff. So go to Solar for RVs and check that out. These guys sell them. You can buy them online. You don't need the Victron system for this to work. This has its own app. So once you've got the mppt kind of framework or the app, you can start putting these sensors on. So if you've got 4 water tanks and you're sick of those crappy arms that show you, empty, quarter, and they're never accurate, we all know that. These are dead-eye dick accurate, like really accurate, very easy to fit. They're ultrasonic. These have magnets. There's no wires, guys. You press a button and you're on. So you put a little bit of the ultrasonic gel on it, a bit of KY, whatever it is, magnetic straight to the base of your LPG bottle hot tip. If you've got to swap and go, make sure you pull it off before you drop it at Bunnings or your fuel stop, because take it from me, someone that's done it. I've dropped the bottle off and gotten home and gone, whoops, my mppt sensor's still on the bottom of that container. Lucky it wasn't getting picked up, so I quickly pulled it off. So there it is. That there, if I press that button, right, if I pull this out of the pack and press the button, it would show up here instantly. A couple of settings, parameters to suit your bottle on this, so you can get the app and you're on. That's it. Simple as that. Very cool to be able to do that. And because of the temperature sensing on this, we've done battery temperature down in that location, so we're able to see that temperature here. So battery area temp, sitting on 19 degrees down there at the moment. We've got the heater running in here. And we've got the freezer temp, fridge temp, inverter charger, solar left, solar right. Everything is here, guys, all at your fingers. If you get lost, just touch pages and it'll always take you home. And within the home screen, you've got 3 screens, 1, 2, and 3. Very easy to use. This is your control screen, so controlling your AC current limit. So if you run a generator, you can adjust that to suit the size of your generator. What that means is it won't pull more than that number from the generator, so it stops it from clipping off. Very cool feature. AC mode on, charger only, inverter only, and off. So we'll leave it on now. So inverter only and on when you're free camping. Caravan park, you'll put it on or charger only. If you left it on is automatic. So it will sense when the grid goes down and automatically change over to batteries. So you've got to be careful of that one. If it's nighttime and you're running the air conditioner and you have it on and you're at a caravan park and the power goes out, you will deplete your batteries because it's automatically going to go to batteries. When the grid comes back on though, it'll go back to the grid. But if the grid doesn't come back on and you're leaving that morning, at 7 o'clock in the morning to drive to a free camp, well, you've probably smashed maybe 30-40% from your battery when not needed. So hot tip, charger only when you're at a caravan park, guys. Well, that's me for the rundown. Yep, he really did get a bit average in the weather. Oh well, we'll see what we get out of it. Beautiful. Winter. Happy days.